Season 2 of Supergirl has had its ups and downs. As of the mid-season break, I had given it an electrum. What do I think about as of the season finale? Well, here comes my review. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing Supergirl Season 2. And whew, is there a lot to go over. The back half of the season was up and down all the time. And I have to say, of all the superhero shows that I watch, it's the one that the most number of people I know have stopped watching. So there's a lot to unpack here. Let's get started. I'm keeping the Electrum rating, first of all. It's not quite gold, but it's definitely better than a silver series. So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. In general, Supergirl has been a good show. There's some feminist overtones that some people think are a little too on the nose and a little too highfalutin. And of course, there's some real issues with the inconsistency of writing. For the mid-season, I just covered each show individually. For this, though, I'm going to have a crossover, what I think of the Berlantiverse overall. And because of that, some of the good and bad are going to be intermixed here with that episode. So for now, we're going to just talk just about Supergirl, and we'll start with the good. And I'm going to start the same place I did at the mid-season. They have an awesome Superman. Now, he only came back for the cameo in the second to last and then the last episode, but they've managed to do it rather well. In fact, one of the things I like is Supergirl's more antagonistic towards him. More of a, hey, wait, can I beat you? And he's more chill. It's one of the things I think they should focus on more, their differences. Now, we had some great fights, both parts of the season. We had some great comic book characters. I will say, when we get to the bad, though, that not a lot of Supergirl characters showed up. Now, we have some amazing actors. Let's just start right off the bat. The guy playing both Cyborg, Superman, and Martian Manhunter is knocking it out of the park. And we're doing pretty good with alien prosthetics and alien CGI. I mean, all things considered, we had the Martians, the Dax Mites, a bunch of others, and they all came off really well. And you know what I was really surprised I'm going to add into things I like? Relationships. Because, well, they wrote them so badly at some points. But by the end of the season, I was even pulling for Kara and Mon-El. Now, I will say that they could all use a little more freshing out, and in some cases, they are moving way too quickly, although, like I said in my episode review for the wedding proposal, I do know people that moved that quickly in real life, too. The final good thing they have is something I'm going to be saying a lot throughout all three. Potential. Every time I look at this show, I just see so much potential for an awesome knock it out of the park. But what about the bad? And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's a couple. Let's start with the fact that they kind of sidelined the entire Kryptonian fortress of technology by saying they couldn't rebuild Kyle-X. I mean, come on. The fortress built him to begin with. Second of all, we have this whole Cyborg Superman deal, who seems to be potential. Lots and lots of potential. But they aren't using him. And I don't understand it. I mean, maybe it's all set up for Season 3, but it looks to me like Reign is going to be Season 3, so I'm not sure. And the second part of potential, Cat Grant was awesome and showcased, especially in those last two episodes, how great she was. And you know what? Snapper Carr, even though he was cool in individual episodes, didn't even rate showing up in the season finale. I want you to think about that. This character was so important to the arc that he didn't even need to show up in the season finale. When I see the potential of a character like Cat wasted, or the way they kind of just waste Lena with not knowing what you're doing, that's part of the bad. And I have to admit, the over-politicalization is biting them in the butt a little bit. And in that regard, it comes down to potential, too. We have Linda Carter playing a strong female president, who happens to be an alien. There is so much you can do with that. And what do we do with it? Make a few jokes, have her do some girl power stuff, and then disappear. I want you to think about this for a minute. She's not legally able to be president. She wasn't born in the United States. But no one thinks about that. Just, nope, girl power. And finally, the ugly. And for the ugly, I need to start with an apology, because last time I said all it was Guardian, and Guardian got better as the second half of the season portrayed him. I am curious if you guys feel the same. I lampooned him pretty hard so leave down in the comments if you think that he got better. But the real ugly of the show is inconsistency. See, there's this problem where they don't know what they were writing, and I touched on this in the good and the bad. Supergirl in the comics is often portrayed as a teenager or an early 20-something, a lot of time in high school or college, so a lot of her stories focus on that. They chose to make her an adult, and I completely agree with that. Except they made her an adult and just gave her Clark Kent's job. And, well, why is she copying off Superman so much? They have this whole subplot where she works for the DEO and the Martian Manhunter, and they could really make it different, and the family dynamic could be so different. There's just so much potential in there, and it's squandered time after time because they just don't know what to do. Hell, sometimes they write her like she's an 8-year-old instead of like an adult. I would love to see a Supergirl specific storyline where she is doing something completely with her own agency and that everything revolves around her and what she's doing. And I honestly don't see it. I also would like to see more things dealing with more in-depth day-to-day life, what they're doing. But they can't do that because they have a Monster of the Week. And I'm going to go on to another point here as well with this missed potential. Because, again, we have Cyborg Superman, and we have Martian Manhunter, and both of them are John Jones, but both of them aren't. And why aren't they having these two fight it out more? Why aren't they showcasing? Now, we did at the end of the season get a few big changes to the status quo, so I'd be remiss in not answering those. With Mon-El gone, she has no boyfriend right now, and I'd like to see them keep it that way. I think that she doesn't need to be defined by the men in her life. Not Snapper Carr, not Superman, not a boyfriend. And I really hope they don't try to jump Jimmy back into that line. And I'm really, really hoping that Wynn has moved on entirely with his new girl. However, there's also that wormhole he disappeared into. In the comics, Mon-El was sent to the 31st century and joined the Legion of Superheroes. I wouldn't mind seeing him come back as a reoccurring character. Maybe a Legion flight ring would protect him from the lead in the air. Don't get me started on my problem with lead in the air. Alright, so then there's the other thing. A third Kryptonian ship. And people seem to be kind of confused about this. And who could be in it? I heard people say Zod, I heard people say Brainiac. Well, we already have a Zod and a Brainiac on the show, so no. People said Doomsday, and I'm like, well, I think that's closer. They specifically said it will rain. And you know what? There's a character named Rain. And for Season 3, this could fix a lot of the problems. We have a super strong baddie that could be a world breaker, Doomsday level threat, but is a Supergirl story. And let's not forget, we still have a leftover story as well. Roulette is still out there, and could still be working. Not to mention, we know that in this universe, there's also Dominators, like from the crossover. So, we have a whole bunch of fun things. Plus, I'm still waiting to see a White Martian invasion. And there's a storyline I think they could do very well from Justice League comics. But now we have White Martians on both sides, so it could be interesting. But again, let me know what you thought of Supergirl this season, both before and after the mid-season break. And what you would like to see next year from Supergirl, or just in general what you'd like to know more about Supergirl. In the meantime, like I said, there's going to be a Berlanti-verse crossover theory video of mine where I talk about the entire concept of how the Berlanti-verse fits together. And I'm going to talk about some flaws in the shows there, especially Secret Identity and team building. So if you're interested, please like and share this video and subscribe to my channel, because I'm trying to build a community, one where we can talk about all of the stories and shows and books and comics. And when we do, maybe we can find the heart of the stories we tell. Thanks for watching and have a good night.